Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into a really fascinating film called Rental Family, starring the one and only Brendan Fraser. Now, the whole idea behind it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but believe me, its roots are surprisingly real.
So let's just get right to it. The film asks this one central question. What if you could actually rent a family? And I don't mean for a movie role, I mean for your real life. Think about it, hiring a dad just for a school interview, or maybe a friend because you're having a lonely night. You could even hire a whole group of people to be mourners at a funeral. It's a pretty wild concept, isn't it?
And here's the kicker. This isn't just some made-up movie plot. Rental companion services are a real thing. It's actually a pretty big industry, especially over in Japan. For real, people can hire actors to step in and fill all kinds of social roles in their lives. And the reasons why? Well, they range from simple loneliness to some really intense societal pressures.
And I'm not just talking about a couple of little niche agencies here and there. No way. Some estimates say there are over 300 of these kinds of businesses operating in Japan right now. It's a huge, thriving industry, and it's all built on this fundamental human need we all have for connection, even if, that connection technically starts with a credit card swipe.
The kinds of roles you can hire for, it's just incredible. I mean, you can literally hire people to show up and cry at a funeral, just to make it look like the person was really popular. Or hey, need to get your parents off your back? You can rent a boyfriend or girlfriend for that big family dinner. Or maybe you just want someone to kick back and play some old school video games with. It's amazing, these services cover pretty much the entire spectrum of human needs.
So this real-world industry, it's the bedrock for the whole film. It really gets you thinking about a world where emotions and connections can just be put up for hire. And it totally blurs that line between what's genuine and what's just a performance.
Okay, so how does this whole crazy industry actually look on the big screen? Well, in the film, we follow our main character who's kind of lost in Tokyo, and he ends up stumbling into this really strange line of work.
So let me introduce you to our guy, Philip Vanderploeg. He's played with so much heart by Brendan Fraser. And get this, 7 years ago, this dude was a minor celebrity in Japan. He was the face of this super popular toothpaste commercial. But you know how fame is. It didn't last. Now he's just this lonely guy struggling to find his next acting job and feeling totally adrift from everyone and everything.
So he's desperate for work, right? And he ends up taking a job at this rental family agency. And his big qualification? Well, the owner just comes right out and says it. They need a token white guy. It's kind of funny, but also a little jarring, And it's the start of what turns into this incredibly emotional journey for him.
And here's a cool little behind-the-scenes fact for you, which just goes to show how committed everyone was. To get ready for this role, Brendan Fraser didn't just, act like an American in Japan. He went all in. He was taking Japanese classes 3 to 4 times a week just to make his character's experience feel as real and authentic as possible. Pretty cool, right?
All right, this is where we really get to the core of the film. As Philip starts taking on these different jobs, what starts out as just, a job, another acting role, it starts to feel unbelievably real. And his assignments are, they are a total roller coaster of human experience. First, he's hired to be a father figure for this little girl, just to help her build up the confidence she needs for a big school interview. Then, his next gig is to play a journalist, so he can give one last, dignified interview to this legendary actor who's sadly losing his memory. And then there's this moment of pure, nostalgic heart. He's literally paid just to play Sega Dreamcast with a guy who's lonely. Every single one of these jobs just forces him to confront that blurry line between acting and what's actually real.
The film's director, Hikari, summed it up perfectly. She said, "The roles may seem fake, but the emotion is real." And that just hits the nail on the head. Philip is getting paid to put on a performance, but the empathy he feels, the connection, the joy, all of that is 100% genuine. And this job, it starts to completely change who he is, from the inside out.
So with a story this unique, how did it actually land with critics and with audiences? Let's take a quick look at how it was received.
Okay, so the film was a major hit, especially with audiences. I mean, it scored a whopping 96% viewer rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's huge. And critics were on board too, giving it a very solid 87%, with great numbers on other platforms as well. It's pretty clear that people really connected with this story.
But the numbers never tell the whole story, do they? The praise for Brendan Fraser's performance was pretty much universal. People called it soulful, warm, deeply endearing, all the good stuff. And critics really seemed to love the film's gentle, humanistic core. Now on the flip side, some folks did find it a little too sentimental, maybe even a bit predictable.
And there was also some discussion that by focusing on a white protagonist, the movie might have sidestepped a chance to go deeper into the specific Japanese cultural reasons behind this whole industry.
And really, when you boil it all down, the film leaves you with this one big question that's right at the center of the story. What is it that actually makes a connection real?
Brendan Fraser himself put it so well. He said, the film is really about the idea that family is who we include rather than who we are assigned to. And I love that. It's all about that idea of a found family, the connections that we choose to make and to build, no matter how weirdly they might have started.
And this isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. It is so timely. The World Health Organization has actually declared loneliness a global public health concern, a global epidemic. So in a world where so many of us feel isolated, a film that digs into our fundamental need to connect, sometimes by any means necessary, well, it feels more important and relevant than ever before.
So the film leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question, and I want to pose it to you. If you could rent someone, anyone, to fill a role in your own life, maybe a friend, a mentor, someone to talk to, who would you hire and why? It's a question that really gets you thinking about what it is we all truly need from one another.